Walaikum salam.
ISNA annual convention in of Cair. It's there, Lauren Schreiber. Assalamu alaikum, Lauren.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Please introduce us what is Cair.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Lauren Schreiber, and I do outreach and events at Cair National. Cair stands for the Council on American Islamic Relations. We're the largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization in the U.S. And again, I work at the national headquarters. We have about 28 chapters throughout the United States with a series of employees and dedicated advocates who work to defend the rights of American Muslims through the civil rights work that we do. And we also work to enhance the understanding of Islam by doing public education campaigns like our Quran project, like the various workshops that we do to help make sure that Americans are inclusive of American Muslims as well, so that when people look at the fabric of our country, American Muslims and their rights are also included in that fabric. Another thing that we do also is we do a lot of media work to help take media interviews with mainstream news outlets, CNN, Al Jazeera, Fox 5, C-SPAN, many of the main networks. We take interviews with those organizations so that our message, a counter message about American Muslims, can be seen on mainstream media by the regular public who's watching television.
So when was Cair created?
Absolutely. So Cair, we're actually coming up on celebrating our 20th year anniversary. So, thank you. We were founded in 1994 by a few dedicated individuals, including Brother Nihad Awad, who's our founder and executive director now. They had recognized that there was challenges in the American Muslim community with people being discriminated against at work, with people having misrepresentations in the news and the media. And as a result, a few community members got together to put together the organization so that we could help address these challenges. So before we even had civil rights attorneys on staff, we were able to take civil rights cases to help advocate for the right for women to wear hijab at work, to help challenge corporate cases. There was an instance where Nike had produced a shoe. It was one of our early cases that featured some calligraphy that looked like the name of Allah, and we were able to talk to Nike, interface with them, and get them to remove the shoe from production. So something as simple as advocating for a Muslim perspective and making sure that that narrative is heard is something that Cair was able to do early on and continue to do now.
Can you tell us more about Cair governance? How you're working inside Cair, how Cair is funded?
So Cair is 100% donor funded. The community members are the ones who support us. So for example, when we have our chapters that are started, our goal, ultimately we would like to have chapters in every state in the United States. Currently we're located in we have 28 chapters, some states like California and Texas, which are larger, that have more than one chapter. But the goal is to have access to civil rights attorneys and people who can help on the ground with community members and to raise awareness about civic engagement on local levels and on the national scale. So when chapters are started, we have dedicated groups of people who help to get the funding to be able to support the chapter just on the ground by doing networking, by doing fundraisers, by doing workshops to raise awareness, and they're able to sustain and to pay for people's salaries, to pay for the building spaces that we use, and to continue to do the programming effectively based on that fundraising that we do within the community. So community support is crucial to the existence of our organization.
Do you have a breakdown of your donation ranges? Is it mostly like individuals, corporate, domestic donations, or international donations?
So my understanding is that for the most part, we're mostly funded by individual donors within the United States. There's some variety that exists there, but generally speaking, when we talk to people, we talk about being domestically funded and individually supported. We have some corporate sponsors, I do believe, and some of our chapters utilize grant writing to help fund specific projects, but largely we're funded by individuals.
So what have been Cair's successes?
So I guess thinking about from my perspective as like a relatively new American Muslim, one of the things that Cair is most successful at, I feel, is that we're known in the community as being like the emergency 911 call. So if somebody's at work and is having problems with wearing hijab, or a brother who's trying to get accommodations to pray, or if someone is traveling internationally or locally and has problems boarding a plane because maybe they find themselves on the no-fly list, Cair is effectively the organization to call. They're there are no other places. Like, I don't know what I would do if, say, I found myself in that situation. And CAIR serves as that resource on the grounds in a grassroots network, so that yeah, I mean, in terms of like what I see when I do community work, that's, I feel, is one of the biggest successes. We also were responsible for helping to make it, to advocate for the right to wear hijab in a work environment. Some of our very early cases had to do with sisters who were working in a hotel industry. We had a big case with a sister who was working at Disney to help advocate for her right to have a hijab compliant uniform, and to make sure that this is something that's included in the civil rights that Americans have for religious freedom. So that's something. So, I mean, very close to the beginning. I don't have an exact year off the top of my head, but they're very early in terms of. But this is before we had civil rights attorneys on staff. We were having press conferences about the hijab cases. So I would say like 94, 95, 96, around that time. So during that time. Yeah.
So what are the remaining challenges?
So I know one of our most recent departments that we have at Cair National is an Islamophobia Watch department, and that department is expanding and growing in the scope of work that they do to help track the network of organized hate against Muslims in America. So people like Pamela Geller, like Robert Spencer, who are actively organizing and collecting vast amounts of money to help support and create this counter messaging that exists in the American media, that's very negative about Islam, that's very stereotypical, that's not accurate. We're working to document that activity and to expose them for what they're doing, and to say this doesn't accurately represent all American Muslims, and here's why. So we're working now to create that counter narrative, and helping on a case-by-case basis to make sure that these individuals, that their credibility is challenged, because we have kind of said, watch out for this person, they're a known Islamophobe. So being able to expose people for this behavior and this like chronic remarks that they're making is a really big, it's a challenge that we're doing, and we're taking it step by step. Being that we're community funded, the Islamophobia Network has so much money. I mean, lots and lots of funding goes towards this. There's several organizations that are ran by a very small number of people, but they're very effective because of the amounts of funds that are behind their movement. So being as though we're doing civil rights work, and we're doing government relations work, and we're doing the media, this new department, we're working to foster more effective ways to make that kind of impact on a broader scale, including creating like a database online where people can access this information. So if a college campus, for example, has a speaker coming who is a known Islamophobe, we can direct their administration to say, you want to check these resources out while you think about who you invite to speak on Islam on your campus. We wanted you to think about, as a local police department, who you're hiring to do your training on, and your diversity training on Islam. Take a look at our resources so you can figure out if this is the type of messaging you want to be pervasive in your department. And we've had a lot of success in that reign, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
So that database is already existing.
Yes, we're working on launching it now. It should be up very soon. It's one of our newest projects. Our Islamophobia report came out in 2013. That's available online in a PDF format that talks about the network. And then this year, for 2014, we're going online.
So how do you see your organization 5 years from now?
My hope for CAIR in 5 years is that, in addition to being a household name amongst the Muslim community, that the larger American population recognizes the work that CAIR does more broadly, so that my neighbors know about CAIR. And when I say, oh, I work for CAIR, they know exactly the type of positive impact that our organization is making on a very broad scale. That does exist to a degree, because we've been on the news and in the media, where we are visible to the larger population, but having additional visibility, having more chapters so that we're represented fuller throughout the United States, and that more Muslims can have access to the civil rights services that we have. And hopefully the need for those services decreases as a result of the proactive work that CAIR does to help enhance the understanding of Islam. I'm also excited about more youth being involved. Usually my answer would be like youth and women, more women in leadership. CAIR does a phenomenal job about having many female executive directors through our various chapters, and having women be involved in the program and part of the narrative. But I'm definitely excited to see that on the increase, with more women being spokespersons for the organization, more women taking leadership roles, and having more young people involved as well, so that we stay relevant and we're addressing issues that are most important to the community.
Last word.
One last word. Well, I hope that this kind of sentiment translates well in France. I hope that people who are in France can get excited about civil rights work, and I hope that you guys continue the fight.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
absolutely.